Jay Devereux, barking legend. Great to have you back at Maysbrook Park. Great to see you again. Like to get some memories from you of your time at the club. Obviously, it was quite a tumultuous time when you look back. Lots of challenges.
Yep.
But when you first came in, I think it was summer of 2004. Big injection of finance at the club. New chairman Peter Webster had been the sponsor, had been vice chairman. He took over the reins, and instantly we saw investment in the playing surface, the ground, the playing budget, the clubhouse. What was it like for you coming into the club at that time?
I remember coming in and we were going to be relegated, I think, at the time. Dennis Elliott was the manager, and he had been my manager previously at Ford's, and I think I was probably the first person he called to ask me to come in, because I'd just signed for Waltham Forest but hadn't been there long enough to really have any affinity with, affiliation with them. So it was very much, I saw myself as being between Ford's and my next step. And Dennis asked me to come in as a player, and then first training session asked me to take the session, as he did. And I kind of ended up being player coach. And the one thing, and I'm a local lad, I lived around the corner, so it all made sense for me. My cousins had played for Barking when I was a boy, so I used to watch games here as well. When they were, within the Isthmian Premier League and fighting for the league, and a really strong side. So I was aware of the club's history, if you like, and fairly recent history. So it was a bit of a no-brainer for me to join. And the thing that came in, when I noticed when I came in immediately, was the spirit and the atmosphere of the club. The supporters on hard times, but still, just magnificent support, of which lots are still here today, like yourself, Mark, and Terry, and I've seen John and George about, and Maureen and Ron Debenham, all those people that really made the club tick. Real good, salt of the earth people. Obviously the late Brad Robinson as well, and Steve. It's just, we just had an amazing time. Absolutely fantastic. Even that first season where we escaped relegation, I think probably we may have had a reprieve, or we escaped it by one place. But we knew that there were better things around the corner, because Peter was just a fantastic guy, loved the club, had been the sponsor, and wanted to see the club get back to where it deserved to be, really.
And then that takes us on to sort of like quite big changes in the playing team. That first season, it was a real struggle.
It was a slog.
But we got there in the end, and then that summer there was a lot of new faces came in. So I'm thinking of Tony Tucker in goal.
Yeah, Tux came in, didn't he? He came in, and this summed our season up. He came in the year we were fighting relegation. I think he played 10 games and won Player of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Deservedly as well.
Yeah.
It kind of summed our season up. But I think from that squad, we kept Tux. Billy Reid stayed.
Yes, that's right.
Darren Bennett, I remember, there was a real small group of people.
Yeah.
It was pretty much wholesale changes, and we got in some kind of guys that were established locally at this level, and not just that, but were familiar with each other and friends, if you like, and the spirit was fantastic.
That's right. I remember talking to you at the end of that season, and Billy Reid was in that conversation, and you said over the summer we're still going to be training, we're going to be playing over the park, and playing 5 sides, and which summed it up, and then we were able to bring in some more established names, as you say. That next season, first half of the season, we were absolutely flying. We were sort of,
I think we went on a 14-game winning streak.
Something like that.
I think if I remember rightly, it was Malden who ended up beating us in the playoffs. We beat something like 4-0 here, and really comfortably.
Well, that season really, for me, the turning point obviously was, we talked about Peter Webster coming in, and then he died so suddenly. Sort of this.
That was the following season, I think.
Was it the following season?
Yeah, because we had 2 seasons on the trot. We made the playoffs.
That's right.
And it was mid-season of the following season that Peter passed. Because I actually remember we played Waltham Forest on Boxing Day, and we drew 2-2.
That's right.
Away from home, and I saw Peter after the game.
That's right.
And he didn't look very well, and he was angry. He was angry at our performance, and we'd drawn 2-2, which wasn't a great result, but wasn't the worst result in the world. But I just remember thinking, you don't look well, Peter, and then sadly we found out that he suffered a heart attack later that week, day before. I think it might have been New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve.
And our New Year's Day fixture, we had to play, and I remember having to deliver. Dennis was too distraught to talk about it, and I had to deliver the news to the players. And Peter was so well thought of. It wasn't just, you know, and I get the impression that you guys have got that with Rob now. And I certainly have it with my chairman, fortunately. Yeah. They're more than chairman, they're the heartbeat of the club, and Peter was that at the time, and the players were close to him and really liked him, and it was a huge shock. And I think probably in hindsight, the fact that we still managed to make the playoffs that season was probably a credit to the strength of the community around the group, supporters, the people that were left.
What was it like, the second half of that season, after Peter died? Obviously I was involved off the pitch, and I knew what was going on off the pitch with we were trying to sort of make sure the players played themselves. Sort of thing. What was it like in the dressing room, knowing that Peter had passed, but wanting to sort of, I get the sense there was a feeling of like we wanted to carry on for Peter. Really. That was exactly what happened. I remember there was a core group of supporters who were fantastic, and it wasn't. I don't think it was the first time they'd ever done it, and I'm sure it wasn't the last. But they actually started to kind of fund the budget, if you like, and I think it's fair to say we had a healthy budget at that time in the league, but it went to zero because Peter wasn't there to fund it. Supporters helped with things. I remember Ron Debenham would pay for coaches to go to away games because the football wasn't as local as it is now. But the players agreed as a group to basically play for nothing, I think, in the end. And just to see the season out, we agreed. We had a team meeting and we kind of said, look, we all do this together. It can't just be, you know, some people taking a bit and others not. We all do this together and see the season out, and that was agreed. Unfortunately, what happened after that was it probably that was the sad bit, the inevitable, if you like. Yeah. What was the journey for you to become the assistant manager? Dennis never appointed an assistant, and I was a player. You know, it's fair to say, was at the end of I'd had injuries, and I wasn't the oldest. I was certainly at the end of my career in terms of the how effective I could be on the pitch at this level, and how consistently as well. So whilst I was here, I probably still played in excess of 100 times for the club. It was more bit part than I'd been used to, and Dennis basically said, look, you're doing more than a coach, and just promoted me to assistant manager. Nothing really changed. I was doing the same as I was doing as a coach. I think once Peter passed, Dennis took on more responsibility around the club, and I became a bit more than an assistant manager. And you know, there were times where I'd even be, you know, in charge of picking the team, if you like, because Dennis wasn't a tracksuit manager, if you like. He was really on the training pitch anyway. So it was just a title change, really. Yeah. And then off the pitch, very tumultuous times, really. With Peter dying, the club suddenly back in an awful lot of debt, leading to sort of liquidation, relegation down to the Essex Senior League was enforced. What sort of time was it? Was that the same time as you became manager? I was the manager for the Essex Senior League season, first Essex Senior League season. And how was that for you? It was tough. I kind of don't mind saying this because I've had conversations with him since about it. And I tell Dennis, he was a bit upset by me, but I meant it well when I said to him, he was probably the best manager I played for, but the worst chairman. And it wasn't because, for want of trying, it was just the circumstances and the situation. It was just a very, very difficult time. Dennis had his own health issues as well. And it was, I think the word is tumultuous, and turn up and things wouldn't be ready, struggled to get into the clubhouse. Ironically, weirdly, we started the season really well and we had a fantastic run, but it just tailed off and drained away over the course of
the season where there was a very small band of people struggling like mad to keep it going. And at the end of the season, I resigned as the manager because I felt that I needed to do that in order to let somebody else come in and take the club forward. I think ultimately me resigning led to Dennis resigning, and I think in hindsight it's probably what needed to happen for the club. I know it took a little bit of time, but it needed that for someone to come in who had a clear plan, vision of how they wanted the club to run.
And it's really interesting timing wise that as you left, the current chairman now, Rob, came in as I think reserve team manager originally.
Yeah.
It's funny how that becomes a pathway. And you've seen yourself that we've gone from strength to strength.
Absolutely. Always kept a close eye. I love real strong feelings about this club and this area. So I lived across the road. I was brought up round the corner, so watched games as a child here as well. So always, will always have a soft spot for Barking Football Club, and I was delighted when they, under Golbs got the promotion back into the Isthmian League, and to see a well-established Isthmian club again, which is the lowest that this football club should be operating at, in my opinion. Nobody has a divine right, but certainly, the Isthmian League football is where Barking belongs.
Thank you, Jay. Well, I hope at the time that you were here, I hope we expressed our gratitude to you, because it was really heartfelt, because you worked incredibly hard and you went over and above consistently for a long period of time, and that gratitude is something that's never left us. You are one of our favourite sons. We are always really, really happy to see you. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Pleasure, Mark, and the feelings reciprocated really, and I think that's probably a little bit, in terms of I'm born and bred in Barking, and there's a little bit of me that will always be Barking, and vice versa. And I think when you've got that close link, then you treat it like family, don't you?
Brilliant. Thanks, Jay. We wish you every success for the future. Thank you
and yourself,
very much.
guys. Pleasure. Thank you.